So I've just turned a very simple small platter out of oak. All I've done is sanded the bottom to 240, sanding sealer, a couple of coats of wood wax 22. The top I've just taken down and sanded, and that's as far as I've got. So just to show you, it's only 90mm wide, which is 3.5 inches. So, and it's only really the first real proper time I'm going to be using the pyrography machine. All I've done so far is really just burn a couple of names in pens, and I want to try something different. Often not, you see people have an image like this and they'll transfer it either with there's some specialist paper you can buy which is very expensive. Some people use carbon paper, but then I think the trouble with the carbon paper is you can't rub it your marks. But I've seen one person, in actual fact, stick their piece of paper to the piece and then actually burn through the material. So I'm going to give that a go, because like I say, this is just a test piece. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use some ordinary wood PVA glue, because it does dry fairly quickly, especially with paper and whatever. So I'm just going to put a small blob on here. Might need some more, I don't know. No, probably not. Just to run around, and it does go off fairly quickly. That's where I shall have my image. I'm just going to leave this a few minutes now just to fully go off. It's going to soak into the paper. Hopefully I've just not put too much glue on there, and then I'll crack this open and give it a go. Alright, so I've just given this about 5 minutes to dry. It's not fully central either. It's not too far out. You can still feel there's moisture there, probably from the glue anyway. Got the pyrography machine on. I've only got it on number 3 at the moment, so it's best to start off with a lower heat than going too high. So like I say, this may not even work. It has started to burn the paper a bit, but I think it needs a bit higher heat. So I'll stick that with number 4. What I've found is that if you get the tip so it's just about glowing red, it's not actually glowing white on the tip there, that's just the stuff that's the paper and glue probably that's on there. And just slowly go around the whole thing. I'm just doing the outline at the moment, and I'm hoping that this is going to have been enough. You can feel it when it burns down, that you go down into the grain, so, and oak is quite actually heavy grained, so it's probably not necessarily the best bit of wood to try this on. Right, I've gone around all the outlines so far. And what I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to stick this back on the lathe and just try and just gently sand all this off with 240 grit, which is what I'd sanded the original piece with, so I shall be back in a minute. Right, so I had to sand that in the end with 120 to get rid of most of the paper first, then 240, and then because I probably had so much glue on there, so it would probably been better off just do in patches. Then I had to use a bit of methylated spirits or denatured alcohol, as you call it across the pond, just to try and clean it up and get rid of the glue. You can see there is still a dark patch there, which I suspect is where the glue has gone in. So I suspect if we'd have given it a coat of sanding sealer first, it would have probably stopped that from staining the wood. But it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do now, I mean, I've still got a good outline there, where obviously I've not gone too deep and sanded a fair bit back, but I've still got the whole pattern there. So I'm going to switch this back on. I'm going to turn the heat down a bit, and then see if I can carry on with this, just to see what it does. Right, and that seems to be working okay, so I will come back when I get a lot further. And that looks fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give that a coat of sanding sealer. Just to see what that comes out like. Because it should also help clean up some of the mess as well. And I've got to say, as you can see, all the muck that comes off. I shall let that dry and see what happens when we give it a coat of Wood Wax 22. So it's had a couple of coats of Wood Wax 22, same as the back has, and it's actually come up quite well. However, I think I'm going to try one step further, which could well ruin the piece now. I have some of these Pryo wax ones. Now they're actually a coloured wax, so this one is actually dark oak, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this on there to see what happens, because what happens is usually where you've got any of these ridges or dips in the wood is where the colour builds up. So being a fairly dark, this is actually classed as dark oak. As you can see, it's because it's warm in here. It's almost like turned into a liquid. So that should help also fill some of those gaps. But at the same time, it's also going to give me some darker staining on the actual grain. As you can see, it's getting into the grain, so it highlights the grain as well. So I'm just going to wipe off the excess there. And does it look take a proper look. You can see where the polish has gone on the back there into the grain. But I think actually that front now looks absolutely brilliant. Well, that's a different sort of project for a change. First time I've properly seriously tried to use the pyrography machine. Like I say, all I've done in the past is probably just put a couple of names on the pens. They were both oak, and what I find actually with oak is that the grain is actually, because the grain is fairly coarse and fairly deep, when the pyrography machine usually hits the grain, it's when it usually digs in. So I found when doing all these shading bits and everything, the best bit was to run lengthways with the grain. That way it just didn't keep trying to digging in all the time. All in all, I've got to say, quite a successful project. A few lessons learnt. Gluing a piece of paper on for the template does work. It works quite well. I'm sure that had I left the glue to totally dry for probably, I don't know, a few hours anyway, rather than just a few minutes, it may well have been a lot better. Also, having said that, maybe just odd dabs of glue in certain places will have worked even better as well, because the problem I had was when I'd actually done all my outline, I then had to try and sand it off, but because there was also so much glue there, I then tried to clean it up with methylated spirits stroke denatured alcohol, which did start dissolving the glue, but it left a right sticky mess there. So that meant sanding back even more. So I mean, I started off with 120 grit just to get the bulk of the paper and that away, and then down to 240, which is, I mean, I finished the back with 240 as well. Now, initially the back I sanded, like I say, to 240, a couple of coats of sanding sealer, and then put on the wood wax 22, which is what I use a fair bit of. The front, obviously, after I'd done the pyrography and that there, I did put a couple of coats of sanding sealer on it, which shoe it all up really nicely, and put wood wax 22 on. I mean, it's a little bit rough, but at the end of the day, you're burning into wood and you expect it to be rough. If I sand that back so it's smooth again, I'll lose obviously all the pyrography bits that I've just done. But what I tried as well for a change is I have some of the Bry waxes, which I had for something totally different before I started wood turning, and they're coloured waxes. So I tried the actual dark oak one. You can see from the back there where obviously it's just wood wax 22 on the middle there, it's actually still a fairly light colour, but where the Bry wax has gone on, it has actually darkened the whole piece a lot as well, so it almost looks like an aged piece of oak. Now whether you put something else then over the top of that then to give it another bit of protection or not, I don't know, but in actual fact the Bry wax products, as far as I'm aware, are usually used as a polish on things like clock cases and stuff like that, and various other bits of furniture, so they are a finish in themselves. It doesn't shine. Well, having said that, none of it really shines. I mean, the wood wax 22, where the bare wood wax 22 is probably got a little bit more of a shine compared to the Bry wax, but the Bry wax, I mean, I suspect if you build up several coats, which I may well do anyway, have a play or something like that, it should build up a nice sheen as well. But I think I'm going to probably leave that as it is, and I don't know whether I've actually put in the description or the title what the logo is, so I don't know whether, if I haven't, I don't know whether anybody's actually guessed what the logo is yet. It's actually the company I work for, a company called Nilfisk, so I'll give them a shout out anyway. And my vac, which is down the bottom here, is actually a Nilfisk vac, which works absolutely brilliantly. It's a wet and dry vac, so I can just use it for just about anything. So this has hopefully been a very, very quick project. I know I'm sure I didn't video too much of me doing the pyrography, because probably people just don't want to see me sit there for however long it took me. I'm going to change positions several times and stuff like that to get more comfortable, because it obviously was a fair bit going on. So if this is your first time here, I do a lot of different project videos. I may well do an awful lot more of the pyrography in the future. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Please do subscribe. You'll get notified then, obviously, each video I upload. For my new subscribers, obviously thank you very much for subscribing. I hope you're enjoying the channel. And for my existing subscribers, as always, a big thank you very much. It is so much appreciated. You keep coming back all the time. It's why I keep doing so many videos. So I'd appreciate if everybody hit the share button, hit the like button, and please leave a comment below. So again, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all on the next project video. Thanks a lot. Bye.